Alright guys, so upon further investigation, it is the lifter that's collapsed. Oh, because here's the rocker right here. I'm just able to lift it. See how it's loose now. And this one you can wiggle it, but can't lift it at all. This one you can completely lift. So it's gonna have to take the head off of it. And yeah, so what I was saying before it shut off, I gotta pull the head off, so I gotta drain all the coolant. Gotta take the exhaust manifold off, which means I gotta pull the dipstick tube, and then I'll be able to get down and be able to replace that lifter and put a new one in. So gotta get some parts today, and hopefully I can get started on that. Alright guys, so I've been working on it here, and I got the lower radiator hose pulled off to drain the coolant, and then you have a vent from your radiator right here, this hose that plugs into, there's like a line that goes right here. Once you take that off, it'll let all the coolant from like the motor and everything drain out. And then you gotta take the exhaust manifold off. And I just cut the pipe down behind my cat because I couldn't get the bolts in front of the catalytic converter here. And I started rounding one off, and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna deal with that. So I just cut the pipe and slid the whole thing out. And got the spark plugs and wires all off. I got the rockers, or the rocker arms and push rods. Got all that out. And got these ground wires all disconnected. And I think I got everything disconnected from the head now, so it should just be these 10mm bolts and then the 15mm bolts on the bottom and in the center, and then it should come off, and then I should be able to see what's next. I'm assuming it's just going to be the piston cylinders and then the lifters right in front of it, but you know, this is my first time. Never had anything or any motor apart before, besides the small engine motor. I've done a bunch of manifolds before, so that was no big deal, but definitely a learning experience. So I'm gonna get the cylinder head pulled off and show you guys what's next. All right guys, so I got the cylinder head pulled off here. Spilled a bunch more coolant, and so there's, I should give you guys a better angle. So there's the lifters right there, those two, especially that one right there. That's our problem. And they're sitting in this like little like case thing. Those aren't the displacement lifters, so that's why they're different. And these ones have like the springs, but that back one right there, that one is stuck. Like that one wants to pull out, that one is stuck, and so it's holding this little sleeve in from coming out. So I gotta try and get that loose and get that lifter out. I don't know what's holding it, and what the whole deal is there. So I'm gonna get that figured out quick, and then show you guys what the damage is. Alright guys, so I was able to get the lifter out of there. That cover actually slides over the lifters. And then what I had to do to get the lifter out was, let's see, it's right here. I had to put a vice grip on the end of it. And then I had to get a pry bar, and being very careful of the head, I had to pry on this to get that pulled out of there. And now I gotta clean it up from like the head, the side of it being dirty. I just gotta clean up everywhere, make sure that there's no dirt and stuff getting inside, and make sure that the cylinder walls are all good, because don't want to get those damaged at all. And just clean it up really good and start putting it back together and get the new lifter installed. So I'm gonna start doing that now. Alright guys, so I got the cylinder head back on and the valve cover back on, and I got the new head bolts in, and I just gotta torque it all down the valley cover and the cylinder head. And so all I did was look up the torque specs for everything, and then the torque sequence. That is very important. And then I got my torque wrench right here. It's a nice digital one from Snap-on, and so I'm gonna get that all torqued down. Alright guys, so I got the cylinder head and the valley cover, the Volam cover, all torqued down. And then I also put this back on, which is for the coolant, some kind of vent or something, I do believe. And then also that little like block piece that kind of looks like this on the back, made sure to get that back on. And then I plugged in the oil sensor and that other sensor back there. And now I just got to put the push rods in and the rocker arms and torque them down. I already put this rail back in for the rocker arms, and I'm going to put those back in and torque them down. And then I can put the valve cover back on and then move on to the intake or the exhaust manifold. Alright, so I got all the push rods and the rocker arms in, and I just finished torquing them down. And now I'm gonna get the new valve cover gasket on, so then I can get the valve cover put on. So I don't want to get any dirt in there. And then probably do the exhaust manifold and just get everything right here done, and then get the intake in, and then it'll be getting real close then. So I'm gonna get that valve cover put on now. Alright guys, so let me show you with the flashlight here. I got the exhaust manifold all bolted up right there. It's a lot easier if you actually take your tire off in the wheel well. That's how I did my other truck, and that's how I usually do them, because I do a lot of them at work, and it's just a lot easier to get at if you take the wheel well off. And on this one I was actually able to just line it up and get a bolt started, and it wasn't too bad. And that way you don't have to undo all those body pins or those push pins like these, and pull that off. So if you're good enough and you've done one before, it's definitely faster to do it this way. Whereas if you take that off, you're able to see it and line it up a lot better and hold it where you want it. But I was able to get it up in there. I still gotta put my cap back on and weld it, but I'll do that last. And I got the valve cover on now, and so that's all done and tight. And so now I can put my air intake manifold on, and then also I can also put my lower radiator hose on now. And then I'm gonna put my spark plugs in, and the coil pack and the wires, and pretty much have it looking all back together. So let me get that done. Alright guys, so got a little carried away, forgot to pick up the camera, but I got the intake all tightened down, I got the alternator back on, the belt back on, the air intake and all that back on. Everything's hooked back up, I believe so. I hooked up everything that I saw, at least. Got the oil dipstick tube back in and the dipstick. And so now all that's left is I still got to put the new battery in it, which is just over there. I got to drain the oil in case some coolant got down there and whatnot. Might as well change the oil. And I got to top off the coolant and put like 2 gallons of coolant back in it. And then put the catalytic converter back on, and just bolt that up and weld the converter right behind it. And then should be good to go, hopefully. I do not have the cover for the top of it. That was missing when I got it. And then I think that's just the fuse box for it. But I didn't have to mess with any of that. So the motor should be all put back together and done. It should be all good right there. And just got to do a few more things, which I'll probably do tomorrow. And hope that it's all good and that everything is fixed. So fingers crossed.